Okay, we'll say the prayer. I take refuge in the Guru. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. I take refuge in the Sangha. From now until my enlightenment, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And by the merit created in this practice, may I attain the state of Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. May all sentient beings enjoy happiness in the causes. May all sentient beings be free from suffering in the causes. May all sentient beings never be separated from joyful bliss. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, feel bias, attachment, and anger. This ground anointed with perfumes, room with flowers, Mount Meru, encircled 4 continents, surmounted by the sun and the moon. I visualize this Buddha field and offer it. May all living beings enjoy the pure land.
그리고 다니 정말로 잠들실 요새네 아주 검자가 있더라. 저도 말라 소답지네. 검자가 있어.
Good morning to you all. Thank you for joining me in this morning's discussion. Before we to the discussion, and let's take few moments to practice a meditation with Aryantara mantra recitation. 그러니까 말인데 적잖아 가지고
아,
그냥 되게도 모델 가면
그게
이게 계속 보고
그게 되게 나서 되게
정도는 뭐. 야, 그런 것도
네.
뭐 좀네 데마나모 도마라 차자로 차자도마 다레바모 도다라에 지근세모 도르도나 감죄데모 소이게 전라람도 다레드 다레드레 소 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 다레드
다리도 좀 더 지전 로만 저네 로아 지장 말리와디 살라고 벌써 선전 나빠지니 반입된달리 털지진 거에는데 중앙에 벌써 만남도 당단 바다 상화도 저도 벌써 간도 선보 언제 sem당 된지 모델로 선전 예매 고양 된다 배권 좀 쓰지 다 가서 마 로저도 가서 참도 공부로 와 그거
No,
가서 참도 공부 하고 저기 목수 참
something second days about it.
이와 주셔 봐라 있어도
그런데 니와 지어서 봤으면 this 사소.
자손들아
말 니와 지어서 한번 사소. 우리 주도가 와.
어디 동안 따라 어디가 된다들 뭐
니와
니와
지어서.
니와 주셔 봐라 니스 삼바 캬버전 상습지 셈라데니 강은 람드 샤와다 주로 캬버전 서정이라데니 강은 선질 람드 샤와 오스 담보는 탈라강트 고나 주로 땅 시데 시송데 디 기용드 시나 기정 주로와 느정 풍와 일랑 일름 마일 네종 습 곰바 조 못동 마마임바 설란동중 데이터오 네급 탐지도 꽤나 리슴지 던데 등을 친동 총용 타스 직등기 감타 메바나 심진기 리그난데 타오 등을 토든 바바다마율 데 탐질 등의기 고 덕기 곱덕기 초브르지나 데 탐질 등을 말리와당 등을 lembi 양지 곰비 돈라 드브테 종스 랑 냠드 삼바 타과니 가상 랑월 샤오스 기전 좀브로페나 큰 시텐기 기위신인 조언도 같은로 소고 소기 뭐 풍상 낭기켄 리슴진 날즈 특히 anggi lord de madewa tang rangi tasu chila ko tserang song chir sangji ki tamba yimi tikiti na ngansong de tao kaw thasin ki che de pinga kinki huishang winshang shanang gi tinkin la pran zomba de tao monsa sonam ki goni gotama sa pin dewo yimba kurma chang nyam de nyor shong de shima chanchil chang de tar phensum sopa 안치든 종이 게츠tum number 답바 답비 저종이 초사비고니 매버샤오 세터마이나 가시 종슨 분송 조르위티 나길당 여파 렘바 키오도도 망성 리슴 기탕드 등을 종슨 종시 심성 일칠 소성 길리기 겐트 송와 망스 데터 마샤워 긴나 기캡 드나 드킵치 겨 다세 토르틀 후자 클로파 투티 온지르메 가르데 메 와츠 소다
예, 야군 같은 거. 이제 그래서 너는 됐어요. 아니, 가서 내 차도 베니피팅 걸자다 작파 작파도 텔레톤데 테 가서 이제 차도 다시 요저 되지나 된다 내 차도 이거는 니와 저와 터버전 되는데
또 있다 되게 되지가 다니 다키트네 마 니와 저와 터버터 롱정나 랑이다는 지금 롱정 니와 저버다
오야야
니와 저와 터버전 서정이 라테니 갱 람드시 저와 저든 탑기 시송아 라젤리 당부 소소 등을 만도정 대완도 발라 도나 야르머기 상라 오 총정 체সম강 경타 삼비 sem진 탐진 탐몽도 샤상 라마 상습기 인드비 돕기 Wamba Lopper, Ki Molum Tau, a Kidig Lagni, Kanchon, Daki Tot, Kanyimba, Te Dala Representative, she's Swata Bos, Toward Losnada.
No, so that she's what the yeah. Okay. All right. So we should go to the translation, page 80. If I'm mistaken, please correct me. The process of cultivating the awakened mind concerned with planning the fully awakened state. And you might wonder what the practical use of love and compassion could be. Greater beings, solitary realizer, and greater bodhisattva, 10 stages, possess boundless virtues, enabling them to work for the welfare of other beings. Nevertheless, only by the state of enlightenment can they place innumerable beings in the state beyond suffering, spontaneously and internally, until the end of the cyclic existence. By emitting one ray of light or giving one session of discourse. In addition, it is only as a Buddha that you acquire perfection of your own personal fulfillment and abandonment and insight. Understanding this, you should train yourself thinking, I shall attain enlightenment to fulfill the ends of both myself and the sentient beings. The benefits and advantages of training in the awakening mind in this way can be found in the questions of Virajuta Sutra. In this merit of generating the awakening mind, where to take a physical form, it would fill the whole of the space and still exceed that. Where someone to fill the Buddha field with the most precious jewel, numerous as sand grains. I am sorry, I think I'm in the wrong place. My apologies. Yeah, I'm in the wrong place. Here's the actually it's 82. Yeah, 82. 82. Taking adverse circumstances into the part by relying on the special thoughts of the awakening mind. The text says, which we read this before, I guess. But the text says, apply meditation immediately. Yes, we did this. Again, I really apologize. 83. Taking adverse circumstances into the part by relying on the excellent practice of accumulation and purification. The text says the supreme method is accompanied by the four practices. If you dislike suffering and wish for peace, thinking that it is easy to accumulate small in relation to the higher and the lower field of merit, do it in company with all sentient beings. The prayer of the meditator Vidya Ujjivala says, whatever it means for my purpose, happiness for suffering, good or bad, may I accept it all. Check it out here.
是从
Molam Jabatia, that's one.
这就公司都懂事，什么一个人呢？也讲没。
Oh, I say, check it this one out.
从上那单啊，你话这不就说他不是真的啊，我基本对那呢，讲个咱们能啊，这的，得了就说是他结果你错，就说是当单把子呢，他讲的，这把他就差不多没得，他多少底下那都是过的，三把当就说你结果你讲过的，他俺就上次去什么结巴了，上次什么啥的。 就当来了我这个马路啊，就当多东西那的，这来给你是来了马路，这这叫些巴拉，刚过来300公里，你这个做呢，人来养鸡，我们就是人来养鸡西，或者人来养鸡鸡，我说养鸡鸡，让人年把3路当过来，让年把当呢，那人让人鸡娃3路当过来，这咱们当要做的呢，这怎么3路当的工？但3路当的这里个这个。 초사버 제발 조리고네 소소 내가 지고 하고네 차버 지고네 다 초사고래 다 당거지 조라 지든 탐 촉구지네 데 저버시베니 탐 촉도 지와 지요래 당보 때라다 초사고래 초사는 촉가라스나 능을 문도 저 대완도 봐 돈나양 얼마때 능은 도 받음 대완문도 봐 가지고 찍바요래 찍바요 때냐 소소 그 지금 전부지 마트는 총총 내 소수 총총 내에 상 대화 좀 받던 전지 등을 저르시 비니와 요만 때리가 탑 총총 전에 애네 총정 오랑 숨지니 야르 비지니 랍트 나와이나 심진 탐질 당 토모도 샤상스 때 이런 강지와도 소소랑 그 삼로 땅에 강지와도 심진 탐질 토모가 있는 사람들이 기와지 되나 아랑 보고 채도 많이 심진 탐질 대화 도바 대वर 용식 대वर 용아당 나도 대화 탑지 담을 지지 나당 러위 심지 탐지 소소 등을 강아지 태어나 소소 나당 러위 강아지 무슨 탐지 강아들이 조르소 지그전에 어떤지 총사의 강아지한테 소소도 강아지한테 심지 탐지 그돈 삼루 당하이나 야천 뭐 착거래 소삭거래 누가 정거래서 어디서 거다 대체네 라미션 지지지를 또 들어오지 대체네 담지 담아대 오와지네甚至他们我们做过生意切的用我手机这我们要过来我这是你写过的当不得是的这个这个没
对 so the two make I think I was right in the last the paragraph I read was correct. Okay, here is the thing. Our goal we set up. It is assumed that at this point we all know that we set up our goal. Our spiritual goal is to attain the perfect state of enlightenment. Is Buddhi Chitta, or Buddhi, by the means of Buddhi Chitta. So Buddhi is our ultimate goal. The means or the technique which we try to achieve this goal of Buddhi, perfect enlightenment, is to train ourselves and develop the Buddhi Chitta, the mind of enlightenment or the awakening mind. But it is not easy to develop such a remarkable and the universal love oriented the mind. So therefore, we have to know that there are challenges that we do have to face. So we must overcome those challenges, and then we can be able to successfully achieve or perfecting our practice of bodhicitta, the mind of enlightenment, the awakening mind. So what do we need to do here is the author and shared 4 important techniques to help us to overcome the challenges or the obstacles. The number one technique that the author shared is just accumulate the adequate or perfect the accumulation. So that's the first technique. So how we should achieve the perfect accumulation of merit? Our technique is basically whatever you do and you think and you try to say, and so right at the very beginning of your action, and think about yourself and other. So think that you and other is regardless what is equal at this point. Meaning, so your practice has to start with the equanimity. So based on understanding that just like you, whatever you want and whatever you do not want, and the others wish or aim to achieve exactly the same thing. So this, by meditate on this and fully apply and stay in the this understanding of this reality, and then you can begin to do the things and the best on the sense of or the understanding of equanimity. So once you achieve the state of equanimity, truly understand you and other are equal, and so then next you move to the second step, that is exchange stuff with other. Right? So meaning that now you are putting yourself in the position of or the other person, and then do the things whatever, and so always is it shifted from the self-oriented attitude now turn to the other person-oriented attitude, and then so dedicate yourself into the Dhamma practice. And so this is quite a remarkable, a very effective and powerful method. But again, we have to look at how the thing is we cannot the right way and do quite a lot or achieve accomplish our goal right away. We have to be realistic, meaning that on the course of accumulation of merits, while you are practicing the accumulation of merits, you must realistically and adjust yourself. Begin by doing a small thing, or start with a small action. So meaning that do whatever you could, you are capable to do, like address in terms of address your own problem, especially to try to fix the other people's suffering or try to free others from adversity. So you must know that this practice that you involve with requires a gradual progression. So the progression, the practice has to be started from the basic level, and then promoted to the up or higher level. So anything that you have to start with is something that's common, right, between you and others. So always think that what is the commonality between you and others? There are. So when you think of the commonality, between you and other, and then focus on that aspect of the reality, the commonality, and then you will have the reason always say, oh, just like myself, I do not want this, or I do want this. So similarly, others also desire the same thing. So this way, it can start. It give you the motivate you, it give you the reason, and then you can do what you can. Start with the small, and then promote yourself to the medium level, and then finally to the great extent on the level where you can or ideal and that place. So this has to be always thinking. Even you do a very small action that is as the practice of accumulation merit, you must think that your goal is to attain the highest, the perfect enlightenment, and for the benefits of all sentient beings. So when you finish your action of accumulation merit at the end, and you must also make a dedication, and dedicate whatever you have done or you completed, and for the benefits of all sentient beings.
Niwa dhigpa jangwa na thome ni dakti war la thaki war tu nyomungi kani langwe rangi khana ma thopa ki shang kit sawa nam tobji shangpa la yang to yang de beper shawo samba don la chopa na har nosil cotton chente tewar samki kaps chapa samki ki kaps chapa dar mupi karni shamnyang ji tang zopa gomber shawo the part of they unrestricted by your.
So, if I got you confused, today we are on the page 83. Here, the second method is the purification of negativity. All the misdeeds you have committed or caused to be committed over beginningless time due to the disturbing emotions must be confessed repeatedly through the four powers. And method 3, making offering to evil spirits, as explained earlier in the context of thinking about the kindness of hostile forces. Acquaint yourself with the love, compassion, and patience specifically toward them.
Kitang azu mi matsi nona nonche benke message yo mar dang azu so jo na somal nonche to so so minzi jit wa na kiwar se wor nonche ngi jene nonche ngi samba zawi mai ba shagdom ji de don kar ji shagdom se de shag se de ko yoba je de a de ngi nonche chibu jun da nonche de ngi jene nonche je nor song zu sam tel yoba je ni dom se de jimani ngi ta ni ji gi men se 어떤 등이가 같이 줄 등이 지상나 안에 샤워 간다 간지다 논청아도 용서 봐 논청 용한테 민지지 되나 용 민지지와 다나 녜스니 다 텔은 조바쳐 보지니지만 지금은 세상으로들 대처라 또 주셔야 돼 지금 당보대 땡기 또 써야 돼 상지 당 데리고 다 그동 데리고 저라 근데 또 지금은 시기들 다 땡기 또 배나 미지거나 저랑 미지가 논지제나 미트 요자때 코랑 미트 라텐치는 들니 땅이 다네 초랑한테 들이 공다 노르송데 노르체트 닐린체인 지만이 지기면서 킬린치니 티 킬린치 티체트 때 콜라 지금 샤돔지 찹도 지금 배나 다 보고는 같은 대한 롤로 로봇들이나 지금 컬러를 트렌드들이지니 난 요식제들 어떻게지 도나 더 득받는 건데 좀 샤르고 샤드 또마도 뭔가 domchi shagdom niga machana dikpa lilo takayo mar dikpa takor shebala yoshig china chitang aro dikpa chishok kacha mar michila torong notre sosu notre ngesun suno lamsang de otengi notre jongsa notre jata danda de ni hago song jiman ngi chigim zeni meeting na so kilin chi jona pasho tige seminar oda tige yo mar tindi no chimi sama yonggur jine sangsona teni tagara sama chasona te sama chasona de pa tagasona te niwat merwa ode ja adu nangmi re topore ti kanta kanla te yongs ba te ja te kachim boris pa shazina pa shazse te don te niwate ngilin to jima machi tamcha chi ade ani sambate karzna tang adu hapar tang adu nyang shamtang nyang ji gomsa te la jala pe kale khapo yor te chata de gane do sambajra jala muksik mugni dai tang ta nyang shamba tang nyang ji gom thwai na ane jambal le la yor sta do tse ko na ji yok tute no tse
Oh yeah. So now, second, with respect to the power of the purification of negativity, this particular technique is aimed to help us overcome any negative actions that we have committed, and its influence is still there, affect us. How we should adopt this technique, this practice in our life, right? How we should practice the purification of negativity. First of all, I guess we all have to admit one reality, one thing that's for sure, that is throughout our lifetime, we as an ordinary being, we do make mistakes, right? We do commit it and committed the wrongdoing and take action, and that is non-virtuous. So we have to admit this. Once we take it as a first step, right? Admit that we did make a mistake, and we do make a mistake in general, then we have to now take action to address the mistakes which we made, the misdeeds that we have ever committed. So the way to address the going on mistaking and the mistakes we made, the negativities, the negative karma or action we have ever taken, we have to adopt two things, generally speaking, or two technique or two practice. The first is compassion, and next, then the second is resolution. So compassion is that you needed to reflect on the actions you have completed, or the deeds or the action that you committed before, see whether that is virtuous or non-virtuous. If that is mistaken, it's wrong, and it's non-virtuous, you have to fully acknowledge it and accept it, and your own mistake, you're mistaken, the negative actions that you created, right? So then take the responsibility of yourself by fully acknowledge and something that you done was wrong. So then you move on to adopt the what do we call it technically? The four reliance, the four reliance of the powers. The four reliance of the power is so the number one is the order of the power. So either the for opponent power or reliance of the power. And the number one is the power of the power of the digital,
lost order.
yeah. So the power of the reliance. So the one is that you just like we discussed earlier. So you have to know, like for example, in if the things which are related to it basically is you generate the mind of the regrets, and then start to turn your attention to the object such as like a Buddha's statue, okay, and so in your mind, so you have that object in your mind, and then open yourself to the misdeeds that you have ever committed, and then express your regrets. Case. So if you take this in a very simple way, so what we do in generally, for example, if you make somebody upset, right? Somebody now is very angry because you did something wrong, or you mistakenly hurt somebody. Now, what you need to do, right? The way you apply the practice of the first reliance, power of the object. Okay? So the power of object is you go to that person, right? This is socially as a social norm, right? Basically, what conscience, a person of good conscience who would go and to that person say, I am so sorry, and it was my mistake, I was wrong, it was my fault. So see, you openly go to that person and open yourself to that, you openly and confess, express how regretful you are by acknowledging your mistake and right and in person, right in front of that person who you made a very sad or they feel hurt. So this is socially, of course, in every culture, they have different ways to do and to express their regrets, right? And their way to confess. And in the case of Tibet, for example, if you mistakenly made somebody very sad or hurt somebody so badly, we will take a kata, or the scarf and the kata, and then so go to that person and openly they express our regrets, and in some cases even we will offer give them gifts or arrange some kind of a banquet, right? And then invite that person and whoever is related, and then offer them food and drinks and confess one's mistake. So that's how the socially normally what do we do in terms of the purify our misdeeds. So here, and in the context of the spiritual and practice, so the reliance of the power of object is like a statue, as I said, is like a 3 jewels, and so you open and confess that whatever you did from the beginningless and up until this moment, whatever you can think of or you remember, and wish that by open to yourself and you open your heart to the 3 jewels and confess all the misdeeds that you have ever committed, all the negativities, and express your regrets, how regrets you are. So this way you can purify the misdeeds, the influence, the power and the influence of the misdeeds or the negative action you have ever taken. Just like we talked about. And if you sincerely go to that person, say, apologize, and even give a gift, right? Offer food and drinks, and sincerely express you are very great, then you know, and that person will forgive you, or in that person's mind will have no longer the negative, the feelings or the hostility attitude, or even will be cleared up, being removed. So similarly, and here, we do this and with a family member, with a friend, right? Sometimes we do hurt our family member, then we go say sorry, and then we repair our relationship right back to normal. And as soon as the other person forgive you, then you know that the mistake or the influence of the mistake is no longer there, meaning you are purifying your negativity. Same thing with the friends, with the others, socially, anyone you have ever had any relationship. So once you done this compassion, right? You confess, you are regretful, and then next is you must take action, resolution. So you need to depend upon or rely on the powers of resolution. And so you determine, and you take oath, and you make oath and promise that never commit this kind of action again. So that's the second, the four opponents of the power. The power of the four opponents.
Samba donla chopa dira, samba donla chopa sayade, don sayade ketang azo nosin do shador. Donla ane chong zo ane nosila tanga dorma rahang chi chia den doba do yor te cha den zo tse go ke cha chopa gonzo tela ane ji soso noba chang ke tela nyangji chi ne zoba gom chi ne o ane shamdang nyangji den de kom bi to je na yang kom na ane rangji soso go noba chi dala den nyangji sami kyong so da soso nyangji chatom chha do ra o de shi ge do da joate chikyong la dorma pro ne tumgil shi ba tumchu shi ba der dane ne da te chotor changma chatar shombo shamni sambi go ni shint zang shang ya chewor mugde chikyong namla chikyong nam chandang shang so dabla choka jin de phni damba koma sangji shangji samba nam chatar kyong gyangin shangchib lam dun zabatar daqikyang lam de shin niwa dang shangchib ki samr bochi thachin ki songrab chimbab jirtawajin shigdam koma namki thigila chatar thwajin dak rang dakki gelang kiwa newa koni konda phewa tala teni ling yisam thongti tanak ki gone simchin la phan topi thlin zo chi si yang takwani so da pasha o so da drong to losna.
Now on page 84, make offerings to evil spirits, and explained earlier in the context of thinking about the kindness of hostile forces, acquaint yourself with love and compassion and patience specifically toward them. And number 4, offering ritual cakes to the religious protector and seeking their help. Arrange as many clean ritual cakes as you can afford, and visualizing them as the most magnificent offerings. Offer them to the religious have invoked through the prescribed ritual. You should prayer from the depth of your heart. May I be able to see adverse circumstances as the path to enlightenment, as the holy Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the past have done. And just as the precious, just as the precious awakening mind, which is the core of the general body of the teachings of the great vehicle, was born in the mind stream of the holy ones of the past. May I generate, maintain, and increase it in my mind stream. And may I be granted your virtuous help so that I may be able to benefit sentient being through body, speech, and mind whenever I see, her, think, or come into contact with them. So,
종올라 돌마파 당 치종라 성초지니 가르지기 제덕 가르기 쳇드 지기 요르즈나 또도 다 담복만 남기 남틀 종화 나진 심지담지 손지위 잡았잖아 바 종화 나진 근데 덕기정 배쳤더 대진지 지니 된사 때라 안에 거 parsi 마 종화다 토탄 틀린 조 지기 도로 뜻이데 거던 parsi 마 종화 또 틀린 전에 레베레비 니지지 샴당냥지 고니 콘도 패지니 아니 콘도 패 패온조 리건 거 쇼바 탐지용 패 통티 자락 그지네 지금 기위스 시당 셔르비지 차탐지 코르 암조고 티위 돈데 셈라 양정도 잠바지 잠비 돈데 양정도 곰지니 아니 곰지 톱기 니와 텔라테니 셈진 탐질라 판동지 틀린 조지 그지네 냥탁고다 소한데 좀도 뜻이 도도로
So here we do have two important practices. One is that through the practice of making offering to the evil spirits, as author explained here. So we needed to think about them, and, particularly when we are experiencing the adverse or undesirable circumstances. Whenever there's earlier we talked about, right, something is about adversity, adverse circumstances, that's kind of obvious, and so we running into and personally, so there are as a specific person, and where we remember and we know that that our action was and was bad, so then we can go confess, right, and to repair the relationship and to purify our negative action. So here, and some of the things are not quite obvious. And it's kind of in the hidden form. That is what we call it here is the evil spirits or evil force. Things, events that occur, and it become some kind of the obstacles, and so a misfortune and took in place. Which of course will prevent us from the progressions we make, and right, and challenges our practice. So in order to remove obstacles, free from those evil, the misfortunes created by the evil spirits, we do need it, and again, so think of them by fully understand their circumstances and understand that they doing so and or create such an invisible and misfortune and brought up onto us and cause us in pain and or create obstacles for our practice and our practice. So we do need to confess and do need to repair this unfriendly or hostile relationship by making offering to them and based upon the sin and all mistake, misdeeds, or the understand this invisible evil, the obstacles caused by the evil spirits, is that we are the ones who are responsible for our previous deeds. So then make offering to them and repair the relationship, confess what we have done, and have a great compassion for them. You know that the compassion in general and has but when you apply the compassion and kindness to your enemy, and especially in this case, like those evil spirits who, it's not obvious and quite obvious, but the obstacles do occur and hurt you. When you have a real compassion for them, and they make a ritual, they do the rituals and confess for them, then that form of compassion or the kindness that you show to the evil spirits and your enemy, and it's the highest, it's a very higher level of compassion. So that's the one thing. And then so here again we call the evil spirits. The evil spirits is whoever who brought they created some kind of adversity and make it the things are to achieve your goal, and that is generally we call the evil spirits. But the point is again, when you encounter in such a situation, then you must know this is the moment you do need to transform these obstacles and take them as the opportunity to increasing your spiritual practice. And so another thing is about offering ritual cake to the religious protector and seeking for their help. That is, so from time to time, this tradition of make a religious ritual cake to the religious protector, or Dhammapala, in generally we call it Dhammapala or religious protector, is the great tradition and practiced by all the eminent masters in the past or in the present. So as a special means to overcome those unpredicted the spiritual hindrance, all the obstacles. So events happen and evolve. So that's why that's and also there's a way to overcome these problems. So therefore, we follow what the masters of the past and the highly achieved the spiritual teachers who have been doing such a ritual, meaning that to make a ritual cake and then offer to the Dhammapala or religious protector, and can be very helpful. And we can sort of place our body, speech, and the mind and in a favorable condition or proper condition, and then we can pursuing our spiritual goal. And so this kind of practice would set us to a position and where we can, like the text says, and we can begin to able to, with their help of the spiritual support and with the invisible, again, the positive, the religious protectors and the protection or over sort of the guidance and seeing and the protection, and we can and practice the Buddha Dharma and by the things which we see, the things we hear, and anything we thought about it. So we can bring any sort of empirical knowledge or the sense of being, and by seeing it, hear it, and think of it, or remember it, and bring all of them into our transform them into the meditation, and it become to enhance our spiritual. Now, I would like to take questions. Do you have any questions?
I have a question. Ganesh Konga, there's teacher. There's a wonderful story that one of these points reminds me of, which is the point about making offerings to evil spirits. And I wonder if you might be able to explain it, because I don't know the meaning of the story, which is that there's an account during the process of Buddha's enlightenment where he invited Mara to have tea with him. He was having a conversation over tea with Mara. I think that might have some connection to the how we deal with our own kind of negative challenges that we experience within ourselves or externally. But I'm wondering if maybe teacher can explain a little bit about what the story of having tea with Mara means that Buddha had.
오늘 저 갤럭시에 그 선정년이 디나라 돈장은 공개 제력스나다 돈장은 돈들린다 제베나 니딘데기 루주신고 와서 루주데 가서 선정년디에 뭔가 뭐 창제비 지라 아니 디제베스 저 돔데 용거레 돔데 용제니 선정년디가 파체제지 선정년디게니 자 롱디나니 콜라 차데 제 아니 데니 코닌데 카모 단사자스나다 갑다이에 카모나다 데리고 루주신도서 아니 이 루주디가 나온다다다 제 공에 소환이가 지 간소레 대돔 조가니 그러지하게 탐는 어때지 그 제와다 요지로 와서 어디 그 조는 다들 대체 가는 데 가서 좀 되게니 자 나온제니 동당년 가다 있는데 되게 잡용 그다 대ten지요 가 되게 고든데 대체 가는 데 보고 그래서
답변은 저런데나 미지 컨트롤 쇼지 랑이 결론 노바자가 용고나 때 노바제 컨트롤랑이 점진 좀 밀치고 그 다차한테 다 있는데 기마 딱 봐도 다차 소마다 진짜다 아니 코다 차임인데 당보 코랑라 지 강아 지 섬나 리섬 강아 지니 콜라 지금 만도비 남바주 돈이 텔라테니 아니 등을 지종 등을 텔라테니 다 셰당 컨트롤랑 셰당 키 셰당 텔라테니 테니 리 링어티 원트 게르온소 코라랑 메버치니 슬레옹 거 레옹 ordo트니 딱 그런 거지 세와 로카시기나 나네 그치 가시고는 지금 나도 만도비 남주트 콜렌드 슬로옹 거 대저당 안오도 미진 치토와이나 어다 덴드 당아로 샴냐지 공프즈기나 띠오 곰카르 곤즈라 어다 간소데 냥지 코랑다 나로 섬지나 남경 안오도 곰시면즈기나 람성 코콘롤라오는 아 콘롤라온 거다 코콘데 니가 콘롤라온 줬다 멤버진드니 뇨달랑네 소소 파주 소소 솔 제가 릴트 송고다 데 몽고지고 거때 지네니 나 도쿄 판세 되게 응고르데 이나 사무통 신기지나 때 거즈나 어땅 거저때 장아 송들이 그 강아지 저데 거 공통지 영골질랑 아롱니 그 제메나 코랑 남토고 온 거죠 무시 온 거죠 코랑 노트 온 것들이 용스 봐 대자도 때리 강아지 거니 코랑 노트 지다 셔던 종아 절 때니 종아래 때 종니 코텔랑 알면도 비닷 차래 닷도 맨 닷텔 때니 나랑 텔 때니 그 조금지 토와이나 조바곰 토와이나 조바곰이 텐디 겨로 나랑 콘트코가 토와이나 소소 텔 때니 콘트 말랑나 때 조곰세 좁세다 등을 때 파쇼 때 등을 그 문도 버시테 온텔 조바치 토나 텔라 배투 정말 텐트와나 조 제다 조 토소나 가도다 나찬로 센터 소나 조 세로 텔라 때 존니 곰 토와이나 조곰 시고 어때 그런 가 조곰 지도 가서 파쇼 그 남주드가 츠드가 줄로 텔라 소고때 당난로 마치 때 샴당 장지 장지 강성 때 장지 강성 코로나 장지다 그 셔당 거 원도 송네 랑메 버트디 용네 네 츠니데 랑지기 코트디 요마르 콘트디 지야게 너바 셈비 땅나 때 요마르 이나 코트 장도 답딩 지네데 때 용마르 때 종아때 켄로 지 망보즈 체 용으로 그런 거니 만가 나랑 종원이 만가 때 모조 때자다 거 향지 세도 그 딩을 영스 그런 거 단다 딩을 강을 콘트롤 시나 삼비 삼노 동안 딩을 단다 삼바데 향지로 딩을 딩 티당 나바튼 거 시디 삼다 시디 가서 정말 도고를 리데와도 샘기고 도고 데리지 종나 삼비 삼노도 그 샴바로와 어떻게 샴냥지 곰토와나 샴동 향지 조금지 조금이요나 소소라 파쇼በት 노바데 소소고 셔동 원도 마저지 까트고 소소고 리 컨트롤지도 그래 샴동 향지 파쇼 곰토와나 강소때 파쇼때 르비 코고지 셔동 땅티 소마만 잠송네 그이나 코 조금지 동네 히디 콜라 샴냥지 곰군 하고나 코랑지 샴는 신로고 때 니와데 콜라 코고 셔동 니와도 tonto고요 텐차도 산지게 남트르나 롱망보요 데리가 그때 소셜 서비스 그나 같이 담아서 초스그리나 데리 망보요 텐차도 때 대통 엄마 때 지식시고다 조금지도 냠는 지당 그래 마시고 다르다 딱 퍼페스 공원데 따가는
Yeah, basically what your interpretation is correct. It is that the story of Buddha. It basically is illusion. The essence of the discussion which we just had before, meaning that so whoever approaches you and they have an aim. When you see someone come in and with a very with a bad mood and looks very angry and upsetting, that person coming to you has a purpose. He or she wants to do something, and so you needed to recognize that that person is coming for a reason. The reason number one is that he or she right that in that very moment is suffering. Okay, he or she are experiencing the mental pain, and as a result of the mental pain, he or she is now angry, very upsetting, okay? And that a very internal mental experience of anger, of madness, is now transformed into in the level of the bodily, and now you can tell he or she is very aggressive, and verbally he or she might is saying something very negative, and mentally, of course, he or she is experiencing a very forceful, powerful, and very much disturbed. So, and you can tell from his or her the facial expression and body language, and then what kind of mental state of that person's going on mentally in that person's life. So understand this, then you can apply the story of Buddha and having tea with Mara, and then so we know that the critical thing is that if we are the one who practice this kind of compassion and kindness-driven practice, meaning that think of others suffering and think about the experiences, undesirable experiences others are deal with, then we get once we get so much so used to and this fundamental reality, this truth, and truth means that when someone's not happy, angry, he or she is suffering. Okay? When you realize that he or she is suffering, and that suffering is transformed into the manifested at the body level, to constantly and this truth and meditate on, get so much so sort of used to this very fundamental understanding. Right? Once you get so used to it and get so familiar with this this truth, this reality, then you are the one will be like a Buddha or the Mara or whoever, and want to express his or her anger, then he or she is very unhappy, right? Very much unpleased, but you will remain because you are so familiar with this practice of kindness and compassion and deep understanding about what's going on in that person's how much he or she suffer. Then you are so familiar with this scenario or this reality, and then you would just remain calm. You will compassion for them and to receive them and with kindness and compassion. Right? And then this, of course, will naturally lead to the pacification, meaning that you can pacify that person and bring him or them into peace. The sad thing is in our day-to-day life, because we are not meditate on this, we don't practice meditation and to address or meditate on this technique on the regular basis. So therefore, we are not familiar, and we have no habits and to handle somebody's agitation, somebody's anger. So therefore, when we see somebody very unhappily and attack us, blame on us, and express their how mad they are about us, so our instinct or natural reaction is we would also immediately become unhappy about what she or he is unhappy. So we will have the kind of same attitude because that person is unhappy, angry now. We also immediately become angry about he or she is his or her are angry, and so then most likely our action will be do whatever and to win the battle, so and defeat other. So I want to win. I will try to win this battle and become victory a victor and of this battle, and defeat others. That would be our basic untrained the attitude. So, however, like we said, and if someone who is even not at the Buddha's level, but in generally constantly think about reflecting upon being very sensitive and in general and then he would immediately to practice patience, meaning hold back, right? Hold sort of place in him or herself in the mode of not respond to that person's anger and with anger, but rather will hold back and stay still and then reflect upon the situation and the scenario, and then meditate on the kindness and the compassion. So if you do not really receive in that person's anger and with anger, and then that person, as a normal sentient being, he or she would think about, your attitude will affect him or her, and then they will pull back or will slow down or even reduce their levels of agitation. They will become peaceful. So the truth is that whatever the Buddha have done or be able to do to address that very situation, we know that it's the result of the practice of the meditation a very technique, meaning that the kindness and compassion. So, like we said before, when you see somebody's approach to you with upset, looks very upsetting, you say, "Oh, what's going on? How can I help him, right, make him or her happy?" So, because you understand that he or she is very sad and there's pain, actually, the suffering. When you see not just he or she is angry, but it's the pain, he or she is very much in pain, then that's how can I do? What shall I do? How can I help him to free from the pain? That very attitude, in that very moment, when you see that person approach you, then in that very moment, you are practicing compassion. You are a compassionate person. Then next, you say, "Oh, how can I bring joy, make him or her happy, right? And feels good, feels being sort of fulfilled." And then that very attitude or action is the practice of the compassion, the kindness. So see, you understand, you understand the situation and the pain that is going on in that person's mind, and you want to free him or her from suffering. That's the compassion. And then you want to take a further action, want to make him or her happy or bring joy to him or her. That is the compassion. So this kind of practice, if you train yourself and on the regular basis and in daily life, then like the story of the Buddha, we just see and we have discussed it. And you also will be in that same position when responded to that very unpleasant situation and very easily and very skillfully.
Oh yeah, so that's our mantra today.
So now let's practice. Let's say the Lamrim and prayers of the Lamrim.
Lo me ma re ge lo ro wa na de ja we wa te ma som be se ro kan be yang je ze we je zong da be re ba gan sa la ye nye ne re be ya na nye shi rang ge zhe zhen do be lang ge che zha ze wei zhang wei tang gui wei ye jie men ba sa shi ya wei dang ba ye rang zhen yi zhi dang ba ren zhen chou ge ma jiu cha jiang yang zhi wei shou de yang ji chen bu ya ru zhu ba de de sa wu shi bu si ji ya wei ma xiong chen li la zhu xiang qiu lang ji re bi tang du nang ji ye la hu de shang ya wei za ba rang de zhong ji zang zhe bei ten jian zhe xi ga jian se xi me dang me men se ru gan de ya wei nga ba yi nang da lam dang zhe wer ma ji gang zi tao ba chou la xi zhu ci zhen zhen la zuo ba de yi te de nam ji dan de zhou xi zha xi jiang zu shou gen qia xue ju Lama Rinpoche, Daso Nyingar Pami, Tanshu Laka Din Chenpo Goni Ji Zong Tuje Ngidra Zad So Shangchi Semcho Rinpoche, Mati Pana Jijir Chi Hewa Nyamba Mebar Kunde Kunde Pevar Sho Kangre Ravi Kurvi Shankhamsa Pandan Dewa Malin Jongvi Chande zang tanzi yang zoi shaba sinti parde tanjir shi jabal bao chirtana jamba tang kanda zong o tiang tejin zi dalo shir gewa dada tamchi rabde ngo tisim shabi yawa tamchi jing hoa kangla chote nga ba de dangshin giwi sawa de kanchang zong o shush ngor je pandi zong ne tamba darshang yi tanzi jewo tamchi kankam zang Ader chen zhong wei ne sang jie dan ba da de ji ji zhi ce re gen de ya wa zong ga wei tang zhou xi ne shi za bei de ye wei nga bei lan zang de ye ji zang yang dong ber ma ji zhi ai ke chi ha a 这个那个